You won't believe the places where black people are facing unexpected challenges. Some countries that seem welcoming on the surface can actually make black individuals feel anything but safe. You might expect a welcoming environment when exploring new cultures, but in some places, the reality can be far different. My name is Mitch from Explortra, and today we're diving into a topic that might change the way you think about certain destinations. This video is about raising awareness and being informed. We're looking at the top 10 countries where black people are really disliked. And real quick, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss important videos like this. Country number 10, Japan. Japan is a fascinating blend of tradition and modernity, known for its cutting-edge technology, vibrant culture, and unique way of life. However, for black people who move to Japan or plan to live there long-term, adjusting to the social environment can be challenging. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of racial diversity, especially outside major cities like Tokyo and Osaka. About 45% of black residents in Japan report experiencing racial bias or feeling socially excluded. It's not always open hostility, but rather a subtle form of isolation. For example, being the only black person in a neighborhood or workplace can draw stares and make social interactions feel awkward. Even small things like riding public transportation or walking in local parks can become uncomfortable when people openly stare or avoid sitting nearby. Media representation also plays a role in shaping public perception. Despite Japan's modern image, some media outlets still portray black people in ways that reinforce harmful stereotypes. Blackface, for instance, has appeared on television and in comedic skits, often with little understanding of how offensive it can be. This type of representation feeds into existing biases, making it harder for black residents to feel accepted. It's also important to understand that much of this bias is not necessarily rooted in overt racism, but rather a lack of exposure to diversity. Japan has historically been a homogenous society, and although that is changing, the pace of social acceptance is slow. Even when people are curious or friendly, the interactions can feel uncomfortable when they're centered on one's race rather than individual personality or interests. If you're planning to live in Japan, consider settling in larger cities where the presence of expatriates and international communities makes daily life more comfortable. Cities like Tokyo, Osaka, and Yokohama are more accustomed to diversity, and local communities there are generally more accepting. Country number 9, Ukraine. Ukraine is known for its rich cultural heritage, vibrant cities, and beautiful landscapes. It's a place where tradition meets modernity, offering a unique European experience. However, for black people planning to move to Ukraine, it's important to understand that the social environment can be challenging. The country's relative lack of diversity can make daily life feel isolating, especially outside major cities. One of the biggest challenges is the lack of racial diversity. Ukraine is one of the least racially diverse countries in Europe, and this homogeneity can make black people feel out of place. In cities like Kiev and Lviv, the presence of international students and expatriates has increased, but in smaller towns and rural areas, the situation is quite different. There, black residents often feel more visible, attracting stares or cautious behavior from locals. This can make everyday tasks like using public transportation or shopping feel uncomfortable. Public transit can also present challenges. Some black residents report being denied access to buses or trains, especially in less diverse areas. Even when they board successfully, they may notice people staring or moving away. This social distance can feel isolating and disheartening, particularly when it happens repeatedly. Social interactions in Ukraine can also feel awkward or uncomfortable. While larger cities are slowly becoming more diverse, smaller communities remain less open to racial differences. Black people may experience subtle forms of exclusion, like being served last in shops, or facing intrusive questions about their background. If you're planning to move to Ukraine, consider living in cities like Kiev, Kharkiv, or Odessa, where international communities are more established. Connecting with other expatriates can help build a support network, making it easier to adapt and feel more at home, despite the challenges. Now, real quick, before we move to number 8, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you never miss a new video from us. And also, make sure to hit that like button. Country number 8, Israel. Israel is a country known for its rich history, religious significance, and diverse cultural landscape. It attracts people from all over the world, blending ancient traditions with modern innovation. However, for Black people planning to move to Israel, the reality can be complex and challenging. Despite its multicultural image, social dynamics and racial attitudes can make integration difficult, particularly for those from African or Afro-descendant backgrounds. One key issue is the rising tension surrounding African immigrants and asylum seekers. In 2023, reports showed a 30% increase in racial incidents targeting African individuals. These range from verbal harassment to physical confrontations, often linked to social and political debates about immigration. As a result, many Black people, especially those from African countries, feel unwelcome. This tension is particularly noticeable in urban areas, where diverse communities coexist but don't always integrate smoothly. Institutional bias is another challenge. Discrimination in housing and employment can make settling down feel like an uphill battle. Landlords may hesitate to rent to Black tenants, and some employers might hold biases that make finding stable work harder. Even those who secure jobs often feel marginalized compared to their non-Black peers. Social perception can add to the difficulty. Although Israel's population includes various ethnic groups, Black people often find themselves seen as outsiders. This can lead to social distance and uncomfortable interactions, including being stared at in public or treated with suspicion. Living in Israel as a Black person requires resilience and adaptability. While the country has much to offer culturally, building a supportive network and understanding local dynamics are crucial for making life there more manageable and fulfilling. Country number 7, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is known for its wealth, rich cultural heritage, and being a global hub for religious tourism. But for Black people, the experience of visiting or living in Saudi Arabia can be far more complex. Despite its impressive architecture and modern advancements, the social landscape can feel unwelcoming, especially for those who stand out racially. One of the most pressing issues is the treatment of Black workers, particularly those who come from African countries. Around 70% of labor disputes in Saudi Arabia involve Black workers, mostly migrant laborers seeking better opportunities. Many of these individuals find themselves facing harsh working conditions and discrimination, not just in the workplace but in public life as well. Whether it's being followed while shopping or receiving suspicious looks when simply walking through a market, Black people in Saudi Arabia often feel out of place. Discrimination is not limited to workers. Even Black visitors and expatriates report feeling unwelcome at times. Everyday activities like dining out or shopping can feel uncomfortable due to subtle, and sometimes not so subtle, prejudices. There's a historical context to this as well. Long-standing cultural norms and the legacy of the slave trade have left a mark on social attitudes. While Saudi Arabia has modernized in many ways, some outdated perceptions still persist, making it challenging for Black people to feel fully accepted. If you're planning to move or live in Saudi Arabia, it's important to be mindful of the cultural context. Understand that your presence may draw attention and be prepared for interactions that might feel uncomfortable. While some places and communities within the country are more open than others, it's best to approach daily life with patience and an awareness of local customs. Staying informed and prepared can help you navigate the challenges you might face while living there. Country number 6, India. India is a country rich in history, culture, and diversity. But for Black people moving there or planning to live long-term, daily life can be challenging. One of the biggest issues is colorism, a deeply rooted bias favouring lighter skin. This mindset dates back to British colonial rule, when fair skin was associated with higher status. Even today, this preference for lighter skin affects how people are treated and integrated into community. About 62% of Black residents report facing discrimination linked to skin tone, which can significantly impact their quality of life. Colorism in India can manifest in various ways. Black people often report being stared at, whispered about, or questioned about their appearance. Sometimes people take unsolicited photos or make comments that feel intrusive. While some of this attention comes from curiosity rather than malice, it can still feel overwhelming. This is especially true in areas where diversity is limited, like smaller towns or rural regions, where locals might rarely encounter people of different races. A more concerning issue is the denial of service. Some Black residents and long-term visitors report being refused entry to shops, restaurants, or accommodations purely because of their race. This discrimination is more common in places less exposed to multicultural interactions, making simple tasks like shopping or dining out feel daunting. Even well-meaning comments can feel off-putting when they reduce someone to their skin color or perceived foreignness. Being constantly asked about one's background or treated as an exotic novelty can make it hard to feel comfortable. If you plan to move to India, consider settling in major cities like Delhi, Mumbai, or Bangalore. These urban areas tend to be more cosmopolitan and accepting. Building a support network through expatriate groups can also help navigate the social landscape. While challenges exist, being prepared for diverse reactions can make living in India more manageable and rewarding. County number 5, South Korea. South Korea is known for its rapid modernization, global pop culture influence, and thriving tech industry. It's a country where tradition and innovation coexist, making it an attractive place to move to. However, for Black people planning to live in South Korea, adjusting to the social environment can be challenging. Despite being a modern nation, South Korea remains one of the most racially homogeneous countries in the world, which can make it difficult for newcomers to feel fully accepted. One of the main challenges is cultural homogeneity. About 55% of Black people living in South Korea report experiencing discrimination, often in the form of being stared at or socially excluded. While not always openly hostile, the constant attention can feel overwhelming. Everyday activities like shopping, eating out, or walking through a neighborhood can feel uncomfortable when people openly stare or avoid interaction. Some locals may even move away on public transportation, or taxi drivers may pass by Black passengers, especially in less diverse areas. Media representation also affects perceptions. Despite South Korea's global presence, local TV shows, advertisements, and public figures sometimes perpetuate outdated stereotypes about Black people. While often unintentional, these portrayals shape how locals view and interact with Black residents. This can make forming genuine connections harder, as initial impressions may be influenced more by media than personal experience. Language barriers can add to the difficulty. Although English is spoken in major cities, many locals may have limited experience interacting with people who look different. This can lead to awkward situations or misunderstandings, especially when cultural norms that prioritize subtlety come into play. Sometimes a lack of exposure to diversity can result in behaviors that feel exclusionary, even if they're not deliberately hostile. If you plan to move to South Korea, consider settling in areas with more diversity, like Seoul's Itaewon district or cities like Busan and Incheon, which have growing international populations. Joining social groups and connecting with expatriate communities can help build a support network, making it easier to find welcoming spaces and navigate cultural differences. While integrating may take effort, staying open to new experiences and setting boundaries when needed can help make living in South Korea a more positive and rewarding journey. Country number 4, Greece. Greece is known for its rich history, beautiful landscapes, and welcoming hospitality. It's a country that attracts millions of visitors each year, drawn by its ancient ruins, stunning islands, and vibrant culture. However, for Black people planning to move to Greece or live there long term, the social environment can be more complicated. While many areas are open and inclusive, some communities, particularly those less exposed to diversity, can feel unwelcoming or even hostile. One of the main challenges for Black residents in Greece is hostility toward migrants. In recent years, the country has seen a significant increase in migration, particularly from Africa and the Middle East. This has led to social and political tensions, and unfortunately, Black people often find themselves affected by the backlash. Verbal harassment and social exclusion are not uncommon, especially in areas where locals feel uneasy about demographic changes. Even long-term, Black residents sometimes feel like outsiders, constantly having to prove they belong. These challenges are more pronounced outside major urban centers. In small towns or rural areas, where locals may not have much exposure to racial diversity, reactions can range from curiosity to open prejudice. This social climate can make it hard to build connections and feel truly integrated. While not everyone holds discriminatory views, hostile encounters can make daily life stressful and unpredictable. In contrast, tourist-heavy areas tend to be more accepting, as they regularly host international visitors. Cities like Athens, Thessaloniki, and popular islands such as Mykonos and Santorini generally have more progressive attitudes. Blending in is easier in these multicultural environments, although occasional microaggressions or subtle discrimination can still occur. This difference highlights how visiting as a tourist versus living as a resident can result in distinctly different experiences. If you're planning to move to Greece, consider settling in larger cities or areas known for diversity. Building connections within international communities and joining multicultural groups can provide support and help navigate social challenges. Being prepared for mixed reactions and focusing on finding inclusive spaces can make your stay more comfortable. Living in Greece as a Black person requires adaptability and resilience. While the country has much to offer, social attitudes can vary widely depending on the region. Understanding where challenges might arise and building a network of support can help make your experience more positive and fulfilling. Country number 3, Italy. Italy is a country celebrated for its rich history, stunning architecture, and world-renowned cuisine. From the ancient ruins of Rome to the romantic canals of Venice, it's a place that attracts people from all over the world. However, for Black people planning to move to Italy or live there long-term, the social environment can be challenging. While many Italians are known for their warmth and hospitality, racial attitudes can vary significantly, and some areas may feel less inclusive than others. One of the most concerning issues is hostility toward African immigrants. In recent years, Italy has seen a rise in racially motivated incidents, with reports indicating a 35% increase in crimes targeting Black people. This trend is partly linked to political debates around immigration, especially as more migrants from Africa arrive. As a result, Black residents sometimes find themselves caught in social and political tensions, leading to feelings of isolation and insecurity. Prejudice is not limited to recent immigrants. Even Black Italians and long-term residents often report discrimination in everyday situations. Some have shared experiences of being stared at in public, receiving subpar service in shops, or being treated with suspicion. These issues are more noticeable in smaller towns and rural areas where diversity is limited. In these places, being visibly different can draw unwanted attention and, at times, uncomfortable reaction. Larger cities like Rome, Milan, and Naples tend to be more cosmopolitan and accepting. These urban centers are home to international communities, making it easier for newcomers to blend in. However, even in these cities, microaggressions can occur, such as being questioned more thoroughly during rental applications or facing assumptions about nationality. If you're planning to move to Italy, it's advisable to choose diverse cities where multicultural interactions are more common. Building a support network among expatriates and engaging with local groups can make daily life more comfortable. Understanding social dynamics and being prepared for mixed reactions can help make the transition smoother. While challenges exist, Italy's vibrant culture and diverse cities still offer opportunities for building a fulfilling life. Country number 2, United States. The United States is often seen as a diverse and multicultural nation, attracting people from various backgrounds seeking opportunity and freedom. While some cities are known for their inclusivity and vibrant Black communities, others can feel openly or subtly hostile. For Black people moving to or living in the US, experiences can vary greatly depending on the region, and navigating racial tensions remains a challenge. One of the most significant issues is racial profiling. Black people in the US frequently report being disproportionately stopped by law enforcement, even when doing nothing wrong. Studies show that Black individuals are more likely to be pulled over, searched, or detained compared to other racial groups. Whether driving, walking, or simply being in public, the fear of being targeted because of skin color is a reality that many live with daily. This issue is especially concerning in states with a history of racial tension or where law enforcement practices have faced scrutiny for bias. Social divisions in the US also vary widely by state and region. In some places, there is strong community support and solidarity, while in others, racial divides are more visible and deeply rooted. The South, for instance, has a complex history marked by segregation and civil rights struggles. On the other hand, cities like Atlanta, Washington, D.C., and Chicago are known for their thriving Black community. Meanwhile, in more rural or predominantly white areas, Black people may encounter open prejudice or feel socially isolated. Safety is also a major concern. High-profile incidents of police violence and racial injustice have sparked national debates and protests, highlighting the ongoing dangers Black people face during interactions with law enforcement. These events have prompted many to rethink where they feel safest living within the US. If you're planning to move to the US, research local attitudes and community dynamics beforehand. Major metropolitan areas, especially on the East and West Coasts, tend to have more progressive attitudes and established Black cultural hubs. Building a support network through local advocacy groups can help navigate social challenges and create a sense of community. Living in the US as a Black person requires awareness and preparation to find environments where you feel accepted and safe. Country number 1, Russia. Russia is a vast and culturally rich country known for its historic cities, architectural landmarks, and unique social landscape. From the iconic Red Square in Moscow to the cultural treasures of St. Petersburg, it's a place that attracts people from all over the world. However, for Black people planning to move to Russia or live there long term, it's important to understand that the social environment can be particularly challenging. Racial tensions are a significant issue, and integrating into Russian society can be both difficult and, at times, unsafe. One of the biggest challenges is the prevalence of racially motivated violence. Reports indicate that Black residents, especially those from African countries or with visibly different appearances, often face harassment, racial slurs, and sometimes even physical attacks. These incidents are not limited to rural areas. They can also happen in major cities like Moscow, and the presence of far-right nationalist groups, particularly in conservative regions, has made public spaces feel unsafe for those who are visibly different. This hostility can make everyday activities, like commuting or shopping, feel daunting. Institutional discrimination also poses challenges. While Russia officially condemns racism, social attitudes often don't match these policies. Black people living in Russia may face difficulties renting apartments, finding jobs, or even accessing basic services. Landlords may refuse to rent to Black tenants, and some employers might hesitate to hire them. This exclusion makes it hard to build a stable and comfortable life, especially when bureaucratic processes are involved. But social interactions can feel uncomfortable as well. It's common for Black people to be openly stared at or approached with intrusive questions. Sometimes this comes from a lack of exposure to diversity rather than deliberate hostility. However, repeated incidents can make daily life feel exhausting and isolating. In smaller towns, where diversity is even less common, these experiences are often intensified. If you're considering moving to Russia, prioritizing safety is essential. Major cities like Moscow and St. Petersburg are generally safer due to their international populations, but even there, some neighborhoods are best avoided, especially at night. Connecting with local expatriate communities and joining multicultural groups can provide support and guidance. Living in Russia as a Black person requires resilience and a proactive approach to safety. While the country has much to offer culturally and historically, understanding the social challenges and preparing for them can help you build a safer and more connected life despite the difficulties. Living abroad as a Black person can come with unique challenges, and it's essential to be informed before making the move. The countries discussed in this video each have their own cultural dynamics, social attitudes, and historical contexts that can impact how Black residents are perceived and treated. From Saudi Arabia's labor disputes to Japan's social isolation, India's colorism, and Russia's racial tensions, the experiences of Black people vary greatly depending on the location. Understanding these factors can help you make more informed decisions about where to live and how to navigate social environments once you arrive. The goal of this video is not to discourage anyone from moving to or visiting these places, but to provide a realistic perspective on the potential challenges. Being prepared can make a significant difference in how you adapt to new surroundings. Finding supportive communities, staying informed about local attitudes, and choosing areas known for diversity can help create a more positive experience. If you've lived in any of these countries or have insights to share, we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Your experiences could help others make better decisions about their own journeys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos like this. See you in the next one.